you know what the LGBT community is?
No.
Okay, do you guys know what the LGBT community is?
Yeah, I know it's like a club here in the Mayport.
Alright.
I have no idea what it is.
Do you know anyone that is a part of this?
No.
And do you know anyone who might be a part of this community?
At the school right now? Yes, I don't.
When I was little, my favorite movie was Beauty and the Beast. And there's a scene where Gaston rips open his shirt. And I used to replay that so many times on the VHS that it wore out. But I learned the word homosexual when I was in church in 4th grade. And my minister was talking about these people who were evil and sinners and would never enter the kingdom of God. It slowly dawned on me that he was talking about me. And I spent the next few years just trying every night, praying to make being gay go away. I didn't want to be it. I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't want my family or my friends or my school to hate me. But it never did. And when I was a freshman in high school, I decided I was going to tell my best friend. So I went to McDonald's where I worked and I wrote it on the back of a receipt that I was gay, and I slid it across the table to him. He looked at it, looked up at me, tore up the piece of paper and walked out. The next day, he went to the principal's office at school and said that he didn't want to have classes with me anymore, that I was going to taint him in some way. And he told everyone in school, and their parents started to come in and said they didn't want me to go to school with their kids anymore, that I was, the same thing as a pedophile or a murderer. So my principal called me into school, into the office, and he told me that either I told my parents about it that night or he would tell them the next day. So I went home and I told my parents, and there was a lot of crying and a lot of screaming. And it really, really, really sucked. I went from having friends and being at the cool kid lunch table to sitting by myself. They didn't want me to have PE with the guys anymore because they were worried that I was going to check them out in the room. I used to get my car keyed a lot. People would write faggot in it, and I would carry spray paint so that I could cover it up before I went home and my parents wouldn't see. They would beat me up, during recess or football practice. And I'm a big guy, so it took a few of them. I drove out to an empty field in the Nebraska countryside. It was sunset, and there's no more beautiful time in Nebraska than when the sun starts to slip over the horizon and it looks like a watercolor painting. And I just remember telling myself how much I was going to miss it. So I took the revolver, and I remember it tasting like cold metal. I pulled the trigger. There was one empty round in the gun. And it was the one that I pulled. If you would have told me 4 years ago, or 6 years ago when I came out, that I would be living the life that I am today, that I would be as happy as I am today, that I would have friends and people who love me, and I go to this awesome school where people really care about me, I would have never believed it.
Do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yeah.
So, do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yes.
Do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yes.
Do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yes.
Do you know what the LGBT community is?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Have you experienced any harassment or bad behavior from students regarding this group?
Never regarding the group. I'm sure it happens from time to time. The day of silence, I think it's something that that group's in charge of. So they probably have some bad experience in that day. Some of the people, but I know most everybody in the building is very supportive of it.